There we go. Okay. Hi, guys. So thank you for joining us. Today, Scott and I are going to be making cupcakes. But how it's going to be working is Scott's going to do cooking, and I'm just going to walk him through it. So kind of like what I'm doing with you. So there's two things you need to do at the beginning. One, preheat your ovens to 350 if you're cooking along with us. And two, if you haven't already done so, you're going to want to boil your kettle because you are going to need boiling water for this recipe. So Scott's going to start. The first step you're going to need to do is, if you have a sifter, you can use that. If not, in a separate bowl, you're going to want to mix your sugar, flour, cocoa, soda, powder, and salt. So Scott's going to measure that out with you, and we'll start there. So you're going to need 1 3/4 cups of flour. So Scott's going to put it right into the sifter, and he's going to layer everything in there. And that way, everything can get sifted. There we go. You can put it there, just set it right in the bowl, and then it'll sift through as you stack things in. So just keep going. So you need 3/4. Yep. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them to me, and I will do my best to answer them. But Scott will probably ask most of your questions, so that will be helpful. Scott's also doing math right now, which is great.
Very difficult.
Perfect. Okay, so next you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of cocoa. So in my family, with this recipe, we use the dark cocoa. So at our bulk barn, it's actually called the red cocoa. We just like how dark and rich it is. You can use any kind you like. My aunt uses the paler cocoa, but we just prefer the darker stuff.
3/4?
3/4 of a cup. Yes, you can do 3/4 cups. That works also. All right, you get it? All right, next you're going to add 2 cups of sugar. So we have our bowl ready, and we have our sifter here too. If you have any assistants in your kitchen who need a bit of distraction, you can get them to start putting the cupcake holders into your cupcake tins. So for this recipe, it's going to make about 24 cupcakes depending on what size you make them. If you do bigger ones, it'll make a few less. If you make the teeny tiny ones, it's going to make a lot. All right, so Scott, you now need to do the soda, powder, and salt. So you're going to need 1½ teaspoons of both baking soda and baking powder.
Teaspoons?
Teaspoons, not tablespoons. It would not taste good with tablespoons. The nice thing about us doing it this way is if you fall behind or you want to make this recipe again, this is all going to be recorded and I will forever be part of your YouTube. So if you just go to WPL on YouTube, you will be able to subscribe and you can watch all of our videos again.
Got it.
Both of them?
1½
Both?
Yep. All
right, so next you're going to need 1 teaspoon of salt. Perfect. Okay, and once you have all those ingredients, you're going to want to mix them together in one bowl. So Scott is going to sift it into this bowl, and then he'll be able to add the wet ingredients to that, but he'll start with just adding them to this bowl. So if you don't have a sifter at home, you can either use like a little, kind of like a sieve if you have one, or the back of a fork. That works just as well. We make these so often that we have a sifter. All right, how's it going? You can do some shaking. If you have to shake, shaking works too. How are we doing? Most of it's out?
Yeah.
Okay, so just mix that together so it's all combined. And then there are 2 sets of wet ingredients for this one. The first one, you're going to put your eggs, oil, milk, vanilla together, and then the boiling water is the last part of this. So we use a 2-cup measure. If you don't have a 2-cup measure, you can just have a bowl and then mix all your ingredients in there. No, so if you don't have a sifter, just use the back of a fork. You just want to get it as smooth as possible. With this recipe, it's a bit different than a typical cupcake recipe because oftentimes cupcakes are a bit of a thicker batter. This has a very thin batter. So if there are lumps in it, you are going to know. All right, Scott, you need 1 cup of milk. We are using almond milk because we don't have dairy here, but you can use any kind of milk in this. Almond works, soy milk, cow's milk works, goat's milk works, whatever you have in your house, that's the perfect kind to use. All right, next to that, you're going to have half a cup of oil. So you're going to want to go to here. I'll tell you when. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. A little bit more, and stop. Okay, and then on top of that, you're going to crack 2 eggs into the same container. So this is what Scott's looks like so far. He's got the milk and the oil, and now he's going to add the eggs. Oh, one-handed. So now we're fancy, are we?
We are.
Ooh.
It's in the dark.
For oil, you can use any type of oil. So today we're using olive oil. You can use vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever works best is totally fine. And then in terms of if your cupcakes are soft in the middle, you are either cooking them too long or too short, or you have a bit too much moisture. It just depends on your recipe. With these ones, it's a super moist cupcake. So no matter what you do, they're going to look moist. You just need to stick them with a toothpick before you pull them out. If your toothpick comes out and there's still stuff on it, they're not done. Leave them in until the toothpick comes out clean. So Scott, you are now going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Perfect. Okay, and now you're going to get a fork and you want to mix that all together until the egg is broken and it is combined.
Good.
Okay, so once Scott is done mixing that mixture together, he will then add it to the batter and he is going to mix that together. You're going to need to mix harder than that.
It's in a small cup.
You're going to be okay. Just, yeah, there you go. That's better. Make sure the eggs are broken. All right, so now you can add that to your bowl. Okay, so Scott's mixing it in, and he's going to mix that all together. Once that is combined, this is when you can choose one of 2 options. For just the basic chocolate cupcake, we're going to use boiling water. If you wanted to make it a bit more rich, or this is for an adult program, or you wanted to do mocha cupcakes, you could, instead of using boiling water, just use whatever leftover hot coffee you have at home. So I made a batch yesterday, and I put coffee in those ones. But the ones we're doing today, we're just going to add boiling water to. So that will be the last step for making the actual cupcakes. And then we'll do the icing and whatnot, and I can walk you through that so you know what to do when the cupcakes are done cooking. Is it all combined? All the way to the bottom? You promise?
I do promise.
Okay, so Scott is going to take the boiling water, and he's going to put 1 cup of boiling water into a measuring cup. I'll put my finger right here. Okay, so right here. Don't pour it on my finger. All right. You're good. Okay, so with this one, you don't want to add the water all at the same time. So you're just going to add it bit by bit. So I'm going to pour a splash in, and Scott's going to mix it until it's combined.
That's good.
It does. Okay, so in terms of lining your baking tins, this recipe is actually a cake recipe, but we just use cupcakes a lot of the time. So if you're using cake tins, just grease them and then put flour and cocoa in the bottom. If you're using cupcake tins, I would line them with cupcake liners. If not, you're going to want to spray them and then put a little flour and cocoa in them to make it so they don't stick. They are a very moist cupcake, so they are more likely to stick than others. The boiling water just helps blend the materials together. So it's almost like a melting feature. So all the chocolate melts together, the eggs stay combined, and that's just how these ones work. But it is going to look very soupy compared to, say, a boxed cupcake mix. A boxed cupcake mix, you could use an ice cream scooper to scoop these into a tin. You cannot use an ice cream scooper for these. They are very liquidy. How's it going over there?
So great.
Okay, I'm trusting you. All right, we have a little bit more water to go. So once all the mixing is done, we are going to be using our cupcake tins. And we, in my household, we just use like a soup ladle to scoop the batter into the cupcake tins. If you use, the bowl we're using has a spout, so you could do it that way. The one thing I'm letting you know is you're going to want these to all be about the same amount in each cup. Because it's a very watery batter, it rises really well. So the higher you fill the cups, the more it will pour over. So we typically put 1 full spoonful in every single one, and then add about another half, depending on how much batter you have left in there. So once Scott's finished mixing, he's going to get to do that fun job. This is a messy one, but it actually tastes quite delightful if you spill. So don't worry about trying them because they taste good. Okay, does yours look like soup? If you're making it at home, it probably looks like soup, doesn't it? That's why we use a soup ladle. If you don't have a soup ladle, you could always use a measuring cup. That works too. I would start with either 1/4 of a cup or 1/3 of a cup to put them into the containers. Don't do anything like a 1/2 cup or a full cup. You're only going to want the small amount. All right, so Scott, for this, you're going to want to start on the outside and keep your thing as close as you can.
Full one?
So fill one. Yeah. And then move on to the next one.
That much?
Yep. We'll come back to it if we have to. We just want to make sure they all have the same amount. This is where it does get messy. The batter will get everywhere. Turn it. This one. Scott's still learning how to scoop batter into the cupcake tins. These are going to be very fancy cupcakes.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about some fun ways to change these up. If you are looking to do a chocolate strawberry cupcake, what you can do is take a strawberry before you put your chocolate cake in, and you put one in each of the bottoms of the cupcake liners, and then you will pour your mixture over top of that. And then when you are eating your cupcake, you will magically find little strawberries in it. Another thing to do, if you are looking to make these extra chocolatey, you can add chocolate chips into them, and then it's like a cupcake and a muffin with extra chocolate in them. So that would be really delicious. If you added chocolate chips into them, you probably could get away with not icing them. But the icing I'm going to teach you is really delicious. It's kind of a cheat off of a buttercream, but much easier to make and much less time consuming. So that should be good. And then it's also a recipe that can be adapted in a lot of ways. Scott, I'm going to need to apologize to your mother for the state of your counter.
I can clean it out.
We have a lot of batter on the counter right now. How are your counters looking? Probably better than ours.
Making a big mess.
That's okay.
Not just on the counter.
Fine.
But on the
I like
recipe.
mess. Oh my gosh.
Glad you didn't bring the recipe book now.
Yeah, probably a good plan. Okay, so we have quite a bit of batter left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Scott kind of add a little bit more to each of the cups. So probably about a half scoop to every cup you're going to add again. Hop to it, my friend.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Hey, look, Scott. Your family from the UK has joined you.
Great.
Hi, Rachel. Hi, Katie. Hi, Jacob. Okay. Just these two? Oh my gosh. I'm really hoping you guys are doing a better job scooping these. I'm not really sure what's going on in this house right now.
I have no idea either.
All right.
No.
This one. Okay, so our oven just came up to temperature. Once Scott is finished pouring or scooping or slopping these, we will put them into the oven. If you've chosen to make a cake, the cakes typically take between 35 to 40 minutes to cook. If you are making cupcakes, it's around 20, but I would set a timer for 15 minutes just to check on them. Now, in order to check on them, what you're gonna want is a toothpick or a long-ended fork or even like a skewer. And when you think they're done, you're gonna take one of those and pop it into the middle. If you see the top sinking a little bit or there's one area of it that looks much darker than the other, it's probably not done, but you can check anyway. But usually about 15 to 20 minutes we'll do the cupcakes and then they'll be done and you'll need to let them cool. Again, these are a very moist cupcake. And so in this heat, it takes a little bit longer to cool them. So if you have a cold storage or a fridge, after you've let them come to room temperature, you could chill them in there if you want to do something fancy on the top. If you just want to throw some icing on there and eat them right away, then they're totally good to go as soon as they cool down. Okay, Scott, we're going to put those in the oven. Give me 1 second to rearrange the trays. So they need to go kind of in the middle rack. You don't want them too high. You just want them in the middle so they're easy to grab. And you can put the trays side by side. So we are going to put one in. And where's the other? And second one. And we are going to let those cook. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so once your cupcakes are in the oven, you can start making the icing that you're going to be needing. The bonus, I made some cupcakes yesterday. So we have some ready to go, and they're cooled, and they're ready to ice. So this is the fun part. You get to pick what you want. Scott, we need a bowl of some kind. What kind of bowl can you want for me?
I can offer many bowls.
Excellent. The icing my family uses icing sugar, either butter or margarine, milk, and icing sugar, and cocoa or whatever flavoring you want to do. Our cupcake molds. Lindsay, good question. I'm just going to pop you up so everyone can see. The cupcake cases, if I was to show you the cupcake case, you only want it to be about halfway, no more than 2/3 full. These will rise a lot, so just be careful with that. All right, Scott has got us a bowl. So we are going to make our icing. We need margarine, Scott. So you are going to take, this is going to sound really terrible, and I'm going to try and help you. I don't measure. It drives people crazy, but I don't, but I will do my best to walk you through it. So Scott, you're going to take about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of butter or margarine, and you're going to put it in here.
I want to use
Even use a spoon. All right, so we're going to take a spoon, and Scott is going to scoop it out. Try close to 1/2 cup, just so that we'll make a bigger amount. Add a little bit more. Excellent. Okay, now you're going to take icing sugar. Again, this is where it becomes difficult for me. I've been making these cupcakes since I was about 4 years old. I stopped measuring when I was about 6. So you're going to take the biggest measuring cup you have, and you're going to pour about 6 of those into the container. So Scott's going to do 6 cups of the icing sugar to start with. You will probably have to add more later on, but we're going to start with about 6. How's it going?
Great.
Okay, so you've done 6?
On 6.
Okay, so here is where you're going to have 2 different options. So I have already made chocolate icing because I made cupcakes yesterday. So if you're going to make these chocolate icing cupcakes, you're going to want to put 3/4 of a cup of cocoa into your bowl. If you want these to be any other type of icing, say a vanilla or a butterscotch or a mint, don't add the cocoa. I will teach you what to do at that point. Scott, your next step is you're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Ooh. I promise we're not messing up your kitchen, Claire.
Only a little bit.
All right, so we're going to put that into the bowl. And then you're going to take your milk. And again, icing is not really, with this particular icing, it is not a specific amount. So you're going to add a splash. Good. And now you're going to try mixing. So with this icing, it's a bit of work through it. So you, no, a spoon. A spoon. A spoon is a good thing to mix with. Any, this one will work. So icing you want to be thicker in how it feels, but you want to make sure there's no lumps. So you're going to want to squish the butter into everything. Yeah, squish it. And then as you mix, you'll know how much liquid you want. So we'll probably be adding more liquid to this one. And I will just do it. You just add it a splash at a time. So I'm going to add another splash so Scott can mix. And again, if it gets too soft, you just add a bit more icing sugar. So it's an easy fix. You just end up with extra icing, and then you just get to lick it off the spoon, which is my favorite part. Okay. So you need to mush and mush and mush it all together. So the icing that Scott and I are making, we're going to separate it into 2 bowls once the icing is actually made, and we're going to make 2 different flavors. Okay, I'm going to adjust the camera. So Scott is mixing. So that's not quite the texture we want. It's a bit too soft right now. So we are going to be adding a bit more icing sugar once he's got all the bumps out. Okay, and I'll get Scott to show you along the way. I'll have him tilt the bowl as he's doing things, just so that you're able to see what he's doing. So Scott, do you want to show them the consistency it is right now? So just tip your bowl so that they can see it. It's a little bit loose, and we don't want that because it'll just slide right off the cupcakes. So we're going to take our bag of icing sugar, and I'm going to add, we'll go that much more, and he's going to mix it again. So Scott and I are going to use this particular icing to make two different kinds. We're going to make a mint icing, and we are going to make a butterscotch icing. So these are both super simple and super easy adjustments. We also use this exact recipe to make lemon icing. Just, I'm not a fan of lemon and chocolate together, but I can just tell you how to do that one also. So, how's it going? Are there still bumps in there?
You.
Gotta get rid of the bumps. No bumps, please. So, for the mint ones, it's very easy. You are just going to take peppermint extract, which you can get at Zehrs, Bulk Barn, Walmart, Sobeys, pretty much anywhere. And also a little bit of green food coloring, because otherwise people won't know it's mint, and not everyone likes chocolate mint. So you have to be careful with that one. The other one, again, super easy. Store-bought syrup. If you make your own syrup, use that. It probably tastes even better. But I typically just use the Smucker's Sundae syrup, and I mix that in with the icing, and then I also drizzle that on top once the cupcakes are done. Okay, so in the oven, Lindsay, I will just pop this up so everyone can see in case anyone missed it. The cupcakes will probably take about 20 minutes, but I would set the oven for 15 just to be careful, and they need to bake at 350. If you're using convection bake, you'll want to lower that temperature a little bit. Okay, what's the consistency? Perfect. Okay, so Scott, I'm going to get you 2 little bowls, and you're going to separate that out. So because we're making 2 different kinds, I'm getting Scott 2 little bowls, and he's going to split the icing, and then we'll show you that, okay? Perfect. All right. So with the peppermint, a little goes a long way. You don't want it too overpowering. So I'm just going to start by putting about 2 to 3 drops in, and then I'll taste it to see if it's okay. Okay, let's see. Well, that's a lot. We'll give that a go. Okay. So you're going to mix that in, and then you'll add the food coloring. And if it seems to have gotten too liquidy, again, just add more of the icing sugar, and that will thicken it up. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so that's as peppermint as we want. It tastes like Christmas. And then we're going to add a few drops of green. We don't want it to be too dark. We just want it to be light. And then I will show you. Okay, Scott, your fun activity. You're going to open the butterscotch. It probably needs the seal broken on it. So you're going to do that. And then you just get to squirt that in there. Okay, I'll show you what this icing looks like. I think I'm going to add a little bit more green food coloring. Let's see. You can do it. All right. Okay, so here is our icing. It's going to be good to go. And then once those cupcakes are done, you can just pop that on top. It's always fun if you can get like a chocolate bar that has mint in it. You could break it up and put it on top of the cupcakes. Or you could get some chocolate chips and drop them on top. Or you could crush up some peppermint. Sometimes I do that, so that would be one option. And then you have like a peppermint patty cupcake, which is nice. It's going to be okay, team. We're going to do this. I am. I'm so strong. All right. So you're just going to squirt some in there. You can pour. Either way works. All right, Scotty. He's going to pour it into this bowl.
How much?
There you go. Go with that. And then we're going to mix that one up. And that one is almost ready too. So the ones with butterscotch actually taste really, really good if you also mix them with using coffee instead of just boiling water. That's a fan favorite when I take them places. Okay, Scott, we may need some more icing sugar in this one. That made this one more liquidy. Another fun thing, if you're looking to make them even more fancy, you can add a little hole to it. So if you pop out the middle of your cupcake, so either using a knife or if you just have like a cylindrical pop out thing, you can use that and take out the middle bit of the cupcake and either fill it with extra icing or you can fill it with a sweet treat. So I made a cake last year and I filled it with M&Ms and a lot of different things like that, and that was really, really yummy. So that's a fun way if you're doing kind of like a kid's one. Okay, Scott, you get to have fun now. You are going to take a marshmallow. So the 4 different types that we're making for you today are we're going to do the mint icing, the regular chocolate icing, the butterscotch icing, and Scott is going to do a toasted marshmallow. So this one is pretty fun for a kid's birthday party. It's like a s'mores one. So you can do a toasted marshmallow. You could add graham crackers to it. We're going to put some chocolate drizzle on ours. We are lucky enough to have a fancy dancy, what is this called, Scott? Like a burner type thing?
Yeah, burner. But
you can always toast it just under your broiler really quick. Or if you have a lighter, you could do that too. Or if you want to toast it before you put it on, you could always toast it on a campfire, over a stove, whatever it works for you. So you're going to take a cupcake, Scott, and you're going to put your marshmallow on top of the cupcake. And then you're going to toast it. So you can show us how that works. Okay, I'm going to lower this so you can watch Scott. And he's toasting the marshmallow. He needs to get all along the top and on the side so it gets melty. And then he has a toasted s'more cupcake. Good work. I hope you're all keeping an eye on your cupcakes, or if you've set a timer. Good work, Scott.
Thank you. It went on fire a little bit.
It's like a real marshmallow.
Good spot.
We promise we're not causing any damage. We're just toasting a marshmallow. Good work. All right, so you can see Scott has toasted his toasted marshmallow cupcake. So now he has a s'mores cupcake, which is fantastic. Our next cupcakes. All right, Scott, can you grab us a knife?
I can grab you a nut.
Fantastic. All right, now Scott is going to ice a mint cupcake. So you can pick one of them up and you're going to ice. So you're just going to grab a dollop, put it on, and then smooth it around. There is no question as to how much or little you can put on there. It's totally up to you. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Now you can get one. You can put that one back on there, and you're going to put one with the butterscotch icing on. Oh, that's awesome, Zaim. A few Oreos. Scott loves Oreos.
I do love Oreos.
I don't think there's any left in the house, though. He likes to eat them too much. Okay, and now our last one is chocolate. So Scott, you can decorate one with chocolate icing. Go ahead and use your knife again. The mint one smells delightful. So if you wanted to get super fancy on one and you wanted to kind of do a layered one like a peppermint patty would be, you could do the chocolate cupcake, put a layer of the mint frosting, and then once you let the mint frosting dry a bit, you could put a bit more of the next layer of frosting that you want. Okay, so on the chocolate one, you're going to put sprinkles. Beauty. Okay, on the butterscotch one, you're going to put a bit of a butterscotch drizzle. That is chocolate. Look close. Over there. All right. Drizzle. Oh, okay. Or just drop completely. That's perfect. And then on mint one, you can put a little drizzle. We'll try this again. A little drizzle of chocolate. See, it's not going to let you jump out of this one. Or it will. Okay. So Scott managed to make these.
Not look great.
Look beautiful. So we have our marshmallow toasted one. We have our chocolate with sprinkles. Our mint with Scott's nice drizzle. It's kind of like mint chocolate ice cream. It's beautiful. And again, our butterscotch one. So it is beautiful too. So that is what we have for you today. This video is going to be up on our YouTube channel and also our Facebook Live. So you are able to rewatch this again. And if you had fun today, Scott and I are going to be hanging out here for the next couple weeks doing a couple other baking ones. So the next ones we're going to be doing are banana bread. We're going to be doing brownies. We're going to be doing chocolate eclairs, oat bars, lots of different things. So if you want to come hang out and learn how to make some more things, let us know. Okay, yes. So if your cupcakes are still in the oven, open them up and use a toothpick to just pop it in and see how they're doing. Some ovens take longer than others. It really just depends on your oven. And opening will not cause any problem. There's enough of the baking powder or baking soda that they should be okay, as long as you just don't open them about 7 or 8 times. But pop your ovens open, see how they're doing. Let us know how it turned out. And if you have any questions, just let us know. You can comment on the Facebook video and I will see what's going on, okay? Thank you so much for joining us, and check out WPL.ca for all of our programs. We have lots going on this summer. All right? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.